Hello, everyone. This is Coach Oliver once again. We are here in round number 9 of the Tata Steel Chess 2022. A very exciting match between Carlsen against Mami Jarov. Both were leading the tournament before this round. But now it's Carlsen regaining the lead after this strong win against Mami. It was precision, vintage Magnus in this game, and it's the ever reliable Catalan. All right, let's get the ball rolling. Started with d4. Magnus was white. Mami went for knight to f6, knight into f3, d5, c4, e6, g3. Again, lately, Carlsen is employing this Catalan ever since the World Championship against Nepomniachtchi. It suits his style also, positional chess. Yeah. Bishop g2, bishop b4 check, bishop into d2, a5, protecting d4 of course, castles, castles, e3, right, controlling the important d4 square or the d4 pawn. Rook into a6, moving out of the pin from the h1 to a8 diagonal. Queen c2, Magnus is hitting the pawn on c4 with the queen now. Okay, that was the point of rook a6 by Mami. White doesn't have this knight e5, bishop to the rook on a8, yep. Okay, so queen c2 b5, a4. Now we have c6. With the rook on a8, white has knight e5, yeah, if this rook is on a8, for example, this time white has knight e5, yep, can pin on that rook. So knight c3, hitting b5. Mamijar went for rook to b6. e4, it's interesting because Magnus played e3 earlier on the 8th move, and now e4. So that means he is one tempo down, moving the pawn, that same pawn, the same e pawn twice. Yeah. Bishop back to e7. Okay, e5, grabbing some space. White also has that pawn on c4. So basically, it's just equal. Knight into d5. An interesting move by Mamijarov. Here, Carlsen went for a takes b5, although Carlsen here can capture. Mamijarov was actually inviting Carlsen to take on d5, yeah. After c takes d5, we have this pin on the rook to the queen. So white wins an exchange. But probably Mamijarov was very confident about this position with b4 after that, yeah. Bishop takes b6, queen takes b6, if b3, and then knight c6. Because if, let's say, you capture this pawn on c4 takes, queen takes c4, black also has bishop a6, hitting that rook on f1. So Mamijarov probably was thinking about this one. He's comfortable with this. So Carlsen was very tricky. He took on b5 first. You will see the difference. And Mami thought for a while, and he actually just invited Magnus with c takes b5 here. But then again, he could have at least played knight b4 here, right? Instead of capturing b5. Insert knight b4 first. Queen goes to e4. You take on b5. Instead of bishop taking on a5, it's going to be the rook. Then when the rook is on a5, okay. When the rook is on a5, then you go back to d5. Yep. Knight takes b5, for example, it's not possible because of knight c6. You know, white is losing the exchange, yeah? Or a piece for that matter, because the rook is protecting the b5 knight. And probably here, Black should be all right because knight c6 is coming. You cannot capture rook takes b5 because you have knight takes c3, right? Removing the guard, knight hits the queen, rook takes the rook. Again, a better version of what hap what happened in the game. But knowing Mamijarov, and probably because of the nature of the standings, by the way, he probably wants to take the lead. He went into this line, unclear, but exchange down. He takes a5. Magnus was so happy with this one. Knight c6 takes. Okay, Mamijarov is hoping for this majority of b and c to the b pawn. Yep. But unfortunately, Carlsen's rooks are more active than the minor pieces. 8-6. This is an inaccuracy by Mamijarov. He could have just played it bishop e6 straight away. No need to play h6 since the bishop is taking away that's current g5. Yeah. There's nothing wrong here in the background. The bishop is also, maybe he was worried about takes and this knight g5 idea, but he could just go g6. Yeah, knight takes e6, takes on e6. Nothing to worry. I mean, the queen is also protecting that e6 square with the knight moves to d4. So h6 was a waste of tempo, and I think and I believe that this was the decisive mistake in the game. Yeah. And knowing Magnus from here on was just vintage, just so precise. That's why he's a world champion here. Starts with rook fa1. By the way, this pawn, if you take on d4, for example, takes, queen takes, the rook will just move back to d1, the bishop, and that rook is attacking d5. Okay, you can take on e5, but after rook takes d5, you play queen e1, bishop f1. You might think, right, oh, I have mate coming up, but takes on f8, takes on f8, the queen can just exchange on e2. Yeah. If you take, let's say, this one and takes, and you push this pawn, for example, just bishop takes e4. White just exchange up and close to winning the game. Okay, so rook fa1, bishop into e6, protecting d5, queen d1, right, defending d4, b4, b3. Nice move by Magnus. Magnus does not allow this move, right, because it will allow also black to jump into that square and go to d3, attack b2. Okay, restricting first, especially this knight, restricting the knight. The b3 move restricts the knight. Okay, c3, rook 8, a6. Nice retreat also by Magnus. Hitting the queen because the queen and the knight was actually pressuring the d4 pawn or the d4 square. So queen goes to c7. Now you have that luxury of moving the knight, yeah, to e1. You can either move to c2 or you can go to d3. And in this case, after f6, Magnus has knight t3. Because, for example, if Mamijar went for knight takes d4 here, Magnus's rook takes e6, removing the defender of the light square. And he has bishop takes d5. And if the queen protects, there's knight f4. Pin on the King Kong. Right? So that wasn't possible. So Mami went for f takes e5, knight to e5. Yes. Knight takes e5, rook takes e6. c2, queen e1, and here Mamijarov resigned. Right. Let's say, for example, if he continues with knight d3, Magnus has this amazing move, bishop takes b5, yeah? Because if you take the queen on e1, discovered attack, discovered check to the king, and a double attack also to that queen on c7. And if, let's say, you move your king to h8, takes the bishop, take the queen on e1, rook takes e7, white is up a rook, and the game is over. Magnus was so precise when Mamijar gave him that window of opportunity with that bishop takes a5. Mamijar, look at the critical moment in the game was this one, c takes b5, right? Mamijar gave Carlsen that chance. Again, if he played here knight b4, it could have been a different result, or maybe a draw is in the horizon here after queen e4 takes knight e5. And I even prefer black in this position, yeah, with again this majority with b and c to the b2 pawn. Knight c6 is also coming up, yeah. If let's say rook d1, knight c6, rook a8, yeah, and then b4, yeah. That would have been a better game for Mamijarov. But since he allowed Magnus to win the exchange from here on, it was the world #1 leading the Tata Steel Masters 2022 after 9 rounds. The question now here is who can stop Magnus? The question will be answered tomorrow in round number 10. Okay, thanks for watching. Thank you for supporting Charge Smash Chess. Thank you. You can follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. And we'll see you tomorrow for round number 10 of Tata Steel Chess. This is Coach Oliver signing off. Bye-bye.